When you think about how many people have had $1 million idea, but perhaps fear or something else has kept them back from not, going for it, which I totally get. But yeah, I feel like if we, set aside the time and are really mindful about allowing ourselves opportunities to get in touch with that, yoga, meditation, prayer, whatever that is, then we set ourselves up for success by learning to listen to that inner knowing.
Welcome to the Good Life Coach podcast. I am your host, Michelle Lamoureux. The intention of this show is to awaken you to your fullest potential. Join me each week for inspiring interviews to elevate an area of your life, as well as interviews with women entrepreneurs who are creating success on their own terms. Each episode provides actionable tips to guide you to design a life you love. Hey there, it's Michelle, and welcome back to the show. Joining us today is Deeannah Seymour, who's been a guest on the show 2 times. Welcome back. I'm so happy you're here.
Great to be here.
First interview we talked about faith over fear. You shared your entrepreneurial journey and some beautiful stories about how you live by that motto. And then the second one we talked about was self-care for 7-figure female entrepreneurs. I mean, every woman needs it. And the thought was, if you're running a 7-figure business and doing it, maybe you have some more insight, managing all of that. Right. And people have loved both of those interviews. And today we're going to anchor around, this idea of how to listen to your inner voice, which is something we talk a lot about on the show, and overcoming self-doubt, which is something, as you know, women struggle with so much.
Guilty.
Yeah, we're all guilty. That's the thing.
Yes.
We're all in, and on our own path with it. And it's not like it ever, you hit different levels, even of success or stages of life, which create new levels, of self-doubt. I mean, we're not feeling it necessarily at 50. You're about to turn 50 next year, and I turn 50 this year, but there are layers based on where you are on your path. But I do want to just introduce, so you are the founder of PhD Feminine Health, which you launched in 2014. You're going to give us an update because we need to get the update on, it was one product, which was a feminine hygiene product. I love this. You say that one bottle is sold every 30 seconds of your PhD Feminine Health suppositories.
I know, it's crazy. Who would have thunk?
Who would have thunk? So yes, from concept. So I will link both of the interviews that we've done before so people can hear your entrepreneurial journey for those who have a product in mind and want to learn more. But introduce yourself in your words and just give us an update since 2014, where you had that one product sold in 34,000 retail locations now, which is fantastic.
Yeah. And I am proof. I tell people that if I can be an entrepreneur, then anyone can. I mean, I started this journey similar to you in my 40s, and we're both proof of that, right? I mean, it's never too late to begin a new chapter. And I, briefly, I kind of have my path laid out for me in my own head as to I'd written my story for myself and thought that I was going to retire from my corporate job and have the pension and the 401k and all of that good stuff. And then I had this idea, and everything was aligned. Everything happened at just the right time for me to be able to launch it. The fact that my daughter's hockey coach owned a manufacturing facility that made holistic products, and we partnered together, and it's been a great partnership, and launched it in 2014, and it became a bestseller on Amazon and took off from there. And really started to realize that this product was improving the lives of women in many aspects, changing their lives. Because many had suffered for decades with feminine issues, and this alleviated it. So realized at in 2017 that I needed to come over and run the business full time. And my number one priority was to get this product more readily accessible for women, because at that time, Amazon Prime was not what it is today. And, if you have a vaginal issue, then you want it, the problem solved immediately. You don't want to wait on a 2-day delivery. So I made a concerted effort to get the product into retail distribution. And amazingly, Target was our first retailer chain wide, and then CVS followed suit. And then we went from 6,000 doors in 2019 to now, actually, we're in over 35,000 now. So we're in pretty much every major retailer in food, drug, and mass, which I just have to pinch myself. And it's been such a blessing. And we're springboarding on that and developing more holistic products and line extensions for the brand. And we have now, probably close to 10 products either developed or in the works. So really excited about where the brand is heading. And got some, in the next couple of years, we'll have some big things coming too. So that's kind of where we are. Our team is growing, and we're focusing on building a new manufacturing facility. That's one thing. We make all of our own products, which is really unique.
That is.
Yeah.
You're not outsourcing it overseas. You're making them here.
Yeah. In the US, which we're really proud to say that. Our manufacturing facilities are located here in Tennessee and Nashville, and then also in Nebraska. And we love our people. I mean, it's just been phenomenal. And to be able to provide opportunities for these people and for jobs. And it's just really amazing. I literally wake up every morning and my feet hit the ground. I'm like, is this my life? Thank you so much. It's so much gratitude. So
love it. I want to mention, so your product, your core product, is a boric acid suppository. You were looking for a more natural solution to some of these other competitors. Right. Are the products that you're developing now kind of aligned with this?
They are. Yeah. We, our mission is to create holistic products, that are healthy for people. And I was so fortunate that, a couple of years ago, we put our heads together with the leadership team and developed our mission and vision and values statements that have really been like our guiding light and our North Star. So that every time we have an idea or if we employ someone, we want to make sure that they're aligned with all of that. And it kind of keeps us heading in the right direction. So we're holistically focused. And, with a lot of our new products are plant-based too, which is good. So.
Yeah. You probably can't talk about what you're developing right now, right?
No,
you don't. No, I didn't think so. Yeah. Usually this stuff until it's like, it's too competitive. The market's competitive. I know that. Yeah. Okay. Well, you'll come back and tell us when you know.
I will.
So one of the things that I admire about you so much and that I've loved connecting with you about on the show is just the way that you approach life. You have a very deep faith that keeps you grounded and that it also keeps you connected to what to do next. It's not that you always know what to do, but when you're in a place of uncertainty, which many of us are right now, you turn to your faith and listening to your inner voice.
Yeah.
We talked about in the first interview you did how you donated a kidney to your friend's 4-year-old son while you were a single mother of 2 teenagers, which I don't know that most people, I think a lot of people would want to do something that to serve in such a big way, but to actually do it when it's going to keep you in the hospital for so long and also on your own recovery, that's a major surgery. Just share kind of how you approach, these decisions and how your inner voice plays in.
You worded it perfectly. I do have a deep faith, and I've learned that, your listeners, it could be whatever God it is they worship, or if no God, the universe, or however you want to say it. But I feel like we all have an inner voice in us that, conscience, whatever you want to call it, a gut feeling. I feel like as women, I feel like we have that most of the time, even more than men. We're much more intuitive in that.
So.
I feel like we listen more intently to that inner voice that we have. But yeah, I've learned as I've gotten older, and you and I were talking before we started about our turning 50, and I wouldn't go back. I mean, maybe for some reasons, 30, for the body or whatever, but I wouldn't go back for anything really, because I feel like I'm, so much wiser now. And I feel like when I was younger, I wasn't as trusting in that inner voice or faithful as I am now. And I really, that donation of my kidney was one of the most pivotal moments of my life. Because if you look at it on paper, you're like, what in the world were you thinking? And that's what a lot of my family members thought, that I was nuts. I mean, nuts. Like, what are you going to do if your kid needs one? And I was just like, I had such a sense of peace about it all, that I knew that I had been prepared for like the past year and a half with different events in my life, encountering other kidney donors, when there's only like 5,400 a year that donate, that are living. But I had met two, and they came into my life, and I got to follow their journey. And I didn't realize at the time, but my heart was being prepared for that event. And when I saw that Jake needed a kidney, I'm like, oh, well, I need to do that. Like, it was just like, okay, look, I need to go to the grocery store. It wasn't a big deal to me, because I had been walking this path with these people. So, but it also was that inner feeling of complete peace, that if you hadn't experienced it before, if you know. And I had that. I had complete peace that no matter what happened, good or bad, that everything was going to work out just fine. And so much so that when I went into surgery in the children's hospital, the surgeons were like, we've never seen anyone so excited to be cut open, because I was just so excited for Jake, and I just knew everything was going to be fine. So, but again, it was listening to that inner voice, and that the peace that comes with it when you know that you're making the right decision, and you kind of turn it over and like, okay, I'm clearly being guided here. So if you know you're being guided, you just listen to that and step into it. And even if it's something that on the surface appears to be super scary, like starting a business, walking away from corporate America, when you have two kids, not sure if your business is going to make it, but when I learned to listen to my voice after that experience with the kidney donation, and after that, it's like I became so attuned to it that I know now that, again, it's like I trusted, I stepped out. I'm being like, this is so much bigger than I ever could have dreamt of for myself. I mean, never in a million years would I have thought that, I would develop a vaginal suppository.
Right. That wasn't on the vision board. Plan. Yeah, that wasn't on your vision board. Right.
Ever. And, I would never have pictured myself as being the spokesperson, the face of vaginal odor. But that's what I am. And I am so grateful that, what's that saying, that God doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called. Oh. And insert God, it's universe, whatever it is, into that.
Right, life. Yeah.
And it's so true. I wasn't equipped, but I've been provided for, and, other people have come into my life, like my business partner, who's been amazing to help mentor me and help me, grow into the leader that I am now, and the businesswoman, having never taken a business class in my life. So I don't know. I feel like if you're where you need to be and you have peace about it, everything will line up accordingly. That's not to say that you won't make a lot of mistakes along the way, but because I have done that too.
How does your inner voice speak to you?
It is, well, on that inner voice too. Have you read The Untethered Soul?
I have it. I think I started it. I don't know why I didn't finish it.
It's a little hard probably to get going. But that book, I guess I read that a couple of years ago, and it is about spirituality, non-denominational spirituality book, and about learning to listen to and tame to that inner voice, because the inner voice can be, if we allow that to get out of control, if it's, telling us lies and, that downward spiral of self-doubt. And because I experienced that early on, I never forget, I had made a huge mistake in packaging. And I went for a run, and during that run, I was just, the inner voice, like the not good inner voice, that was just out of control. And in my head, I was beating myself up, like,
for a mistake you made.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was awful. I was telling myself, how do you even think you can do business, go into business when, you made this major mistake, and, you're no good, you're, incompetent, you name it. It was just spiraling and spiraling and spiraling. And I was just like, all of a sudden the song came on, and it was about not limiting yourself as far as what your potential is. And I never really heard it before. I mean, I'd heard it, but not the words. And it was, let me dream for you. Let God dream for you. Don't be self-limiting in what you think you're capable of. And I literally was running by a park, had to stop and lay down on the bench. And I just looked up at the stars and just sobbed. I'm like, oh my gosh. It was kind of like I got slapped upside the head, like snap out of it, because don't you see that you've got to stop the self-sabotage and beating myself up and thinking that, I'm not capable or competent, and lean into, the faith that I've given you and how I'm guiding you, and let me determine how big this is going to be. And that moment changed me. And after that, I learned that I need to have a mantra that if I'm ever under sabotage by that inner voice that, can get out of control, that, I'm good enough, whatever it is for any person. But I feel like as women particularly, we're under attack a lot from that self-doubt and imposter syndrome, whatever you want to call it. And I feel like it's been hugely successful for me to have something in my head that I say when I am alerted to it. But part of it too is being alert and knowing when it occurs, so that you can call it out and just repeat whatever mantra you want over and over until you stop. And it occurred to me too during that time, and I may have said this on another podcast with you, but it was super helpful for me. A friend has kind of a self-help uh, a company called What's Your Happy, and she had suggested to get a picture of yourself when you're 6, 7, 8, and look at that picture and think about the things that you say to yourself in your head. And would you ever in a million years say those things to that precious little girl or boy? No, you wouldn't. So why would you say it to the grown woman that you are? And I did that. So I got that picture out and put it on my desk and had it there for a long time to remind myself to extend some grace, to myself and others, but to not be so hard on myself, and to really be mindful of the thoughts and how I'm communicating inwardly with myself. So
I think you said some important things, because actually we talked about inner voice, but really it's the distinction between an inner knowing and those other voices of self-doubt that want to hold you back out of fear or right or worry or whatever it is. So in your situation, the inner knowing was guiding you, or in the case of a mistake, which is just a part of business. I mean, we're all going to make mistakes. That part wanted to beat you up so deeply. And so the other thing I heard you talk about was both with a visual representation of yourself as a young girl, tied along with a mantra, which I would imagine is like a positive affirmation or a present statement of goodness. It might be what we would tell a child of our own or a teen who's worrying or someone we love.
Yeah.
Don't reinforce the negative voice. You got to offset it and make a deeper path track, right? With the mantra. Yeah.
But you're right. It's the knowing part is different than the voice that's in between your ears.
Yeah. That's why I think let's make that distinction because it's really, how are you tapping into your inner knowing, which has guided you since the time of donating the kidney?
Yeah. The inner knowing is, I think it's important for anyone, regardless of your faith, or to have meditation time in the morning, to reset, to get in tune with yourself. And, I do that through prayer and meditation. And I feel guided, like I said, in my faith, whereas others feel guided by something else. But it's kind of all linked, to have that time to connect with yourself so that you're in, communication with that inner knowing, with that inner calling, if you will. And again, if you've ever experienced that peace that you have about a decision that you've made, that it's just right, that's what that is. And I think as we get older and we spend the time needed to get in touch with that inner knowing, but that's key. We have to be quiet. We have to shut our brains off and have that time to meditate and or pray so that we know what to listen for. And thankfully that happens so evidently for me with that, with the kidney donation, that when I felt it, I was like nothing I'd ever felt before. It was this peace that, surpasses all understanding. And since then, now I know I'm in touch with that, and I know how it feels if I'm on the right path, if that makes any sense. I don't know if you've ever experienced that too.
100%. Yes, I have. And I feel like I have a deep inner knowing, and it can be hard. I think that's where self-doubt can come in, where it may not even be your own inner voice of self-doubt. It could be other people, like you said, family members going, Deanna, what are you doing? What if your kid needs the kidney? And I mean, people's own fear or not understanding a decision or whatever might make them want to those voices will be in your head as correct. They'll be in your head as well. So I think, it does take, maybe this is what we're talking about with the age, because I think the older you get, maybe the more, and may not be true across the board, but I do think the more experiences you have where you go, oh yeah, when I listened and trusted myself, when that voice with that knowing was so clear, things worked out. And when I didn't, maybe things weren't catastrophic, but they clearly didn't turn out. And that same voice goes, I told you, like I was trying to guide you. You didn't listen to me.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I felt that prior to those experiences that I think I had maybe oftentimes turned away from that inner voice because I didn't like what it was telling me.
Right. Or it's scary. Maybe it's something you actually do like, but you're like, I don't know if I'm ready. I can't do that.
Absolutely.
Right?
And I mean, you think about how many people have had $1 million idea, but perhaps fear or something else has kept them back from not, going for it, which I totally get. But yeah, I feel like if we, set aside the time and are really mindful about allowing ourselves opportunities to get in touch with that, yoga, meditation, prayer, whatever that is, then we set ourselves up for success by, learning to listen to that inner knowing.
Has that been a non-negotiable for you? Like, do you just get up? It's part of your routine at this point? And if so, can you just be very specific about what that looks like for you?
Yeah. So, we had talked about self-care before and how when we neglect our bodies, because I've been guilty of this, that my body will act out, whether it's hives or, you name it, ulcer. I've had that since I started this whole business. So if I'm not taking care of myself, then my body cries uncle and mercy. Like, come on, remember me. And I'm working really hard for you, but you're not taking care of me. Because it's so interconnected, our mental health with our physical health and spiritual health, all of that. So I have really been mindful about, starting my day with meditation and prayer.
How long do you sit? Do you mind me asking? And do you have a journal next to you? Are you jotting things down? Are you asking specific questions and then listening?
Yeah, oftentimes it's, even if it's just an app on my phone, if there's, I either have a devotional, a Bible study, an app, something just for me to focus on, and to see what that message is, a deeper message after I've focused and meditated on whatever that is, if it's a scripture or devotion or whatever. And usually, between 15 and 30 minutes. And then sometimes, I like to run in the evening because it's just easier for me. But sometimes I'll get up even earlier and run in the morning if I know I can't get my run in the evening, if it's going to be a really busy day. But I try and find time for that too. And if it's weather's off or whatever, I'll do a quick workout inside. But I really have found that has been essential to my overall well-being. And I feel so much better mentally if I'm exercising and taking care of myself, because it's just a game changer for me, no doubt.
For 100%. So do you hear, is it a feeling state for you, your inner knowing? Is it a voice? Because for me, it is kind of a combination. Sometimes it's not like words, but I'm hearing it. I'm hearing the message.
Yes.
Sometimes my head will, like if I ask an open question to God, for me, it's God, but universe, higher knowing, whatever you want to call it. And I say, what do I need? Is this the right decision? Sometimes my head will go no or yes. If it's a yes or no, it will physically turn my head.
Yes, that has happened to me before. And I just got goosebumps full body goosebumps when you said that. That has happened to me too. And it's not always that, but sometimes it's just this like a warmth in my soul that I can't even put into words really. It's like this inner feeling of affirmation. Like when I am asked a question and that's it. Yes, that is it. And I don't know. It's really difficult to describe, but it's peace from my inner core that, but there are so many times where I've been so frustrated because I've asked a question and it hasn't been answered yet, or the door has been shut and it's absolutely no way. So, I mean, that's happened too, but that's all part of.
That's where you have to have faith that was, even though that was the door you wanted open, that wasn't the door you needed open. Right. Exactly. So it requires a little bit or a lot of faith and trust and surrender. Right.
Yes. It doesn't mean I don't get sad. I mean, I do. I mean, there's things I get sad about if the door is shut, but I'm also like, okay.
Show me the way.
Yeah.
Okay. Show me. If that's not it, show me.
But I also feel too, like if I am sad, it's brief because I know that there's something better waiting for me, or that I was being protected by that no, or not yet, or whatever it is. So I know it's all like where I am right now in my life is all because of my experiences and decisions I've made that have all led up to this. So I'm so grateful for, there's some things that I wanted in my corporate career. Like I was just dead set on going into upper management. That door kept getting slammed, like one time after another by the most random events. Looking back now, I'm like, oh, that makes complete sense. Because had I done that, I probably wouldn't be sitting right here talking to you right now.
That's right.
So, and it's like that Garth Brooks song, thank God for unanswered prayers. So true. So I feel like, once I decided to surrender after that kidney donation, it's been so much easier for me when I've had a no, or I've had some just insane things happen to me in my life since then. But they're all guiding me. They're making me make choices that I never would have made before. So even though they've been difficult, it's been a very difficult path that I'll have to share with you over a glass of wine. But it's all wonderful in hindsight. These trials and tribulations that, I've been through have been helping me grow and helping me make decisions in my business that I otherwise probably would not have made. So I just think about everything that happens every single day is a process in guiding me to where I am supposed to be. So
I love that. And that does require faith, and the surrender, and not trying to manipulate the situation, and not taking the no for an answer, and really having trust. So it's a dance of having that faith and, surrendering when you can and not being afraid. Well, what's interesting? I mean, so many of us, myself included, I read a ton of books because I love knowledge. I want information, and I have a tendency to avoid going within and asking, and I'll research like crazy. Yes. I will go online. I will read books. I will ask people, what do you think? And instead of just trusting the knowing, because sometimes I'm looking for the external validation for what I know in order to trust that it is true. How do you manage? Do you have that? Because you're saying, what do you do to unhook from that?
Yeah. One of my dearest friends been going through a really rough time with divorce and other things. And she showed me a picture. She's like, look at all the books I'm reading. And she had a stack like this tall of like 15 books. And I was like, okay, you're searching for answers at all the wrong places.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you can get some hit of wisdom, or maybe a book called literally like somebody sends to you at the right time, because you were talking about the music, you can get help in that way. Sometimes, like, just somebody keeps mentioning something, you're like, okay, I'm meant to read this. But you're right, 15 books stacked up to get her to peace is not the way.
No, it's not the way. And she looked at me and she's like, you're right. And I said, you need to be quiet. You need to be still. Be still so that you can find the answers, and so that God will have an opportunity to speak to you. But you have to clear your mind. So anyway, it was kind of an aha moment for her. But and it's so true. We need that peace and that stillness in order to know the knowing. That makes sense.
It's true. Well, you can't busy yourself to the point where you're not hearing messages. You're not seeing the signs around you. You're pushing it away and not staying open to the clarity, because God is, or the universe, life is always speaking to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Every single day.
Yes. Do you
just like it's telling you to get a puppy?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So, which I'll tell my listeners, yes, we might be getting a puppy, which would be a dream come true for the family. So we'll see it more on that later. But what's so interesting is that, not intentionally, or maybe it is on some level, I've had on a philosopher, body healer recently. His whole theme was open, stillness and open. Tap into your stillness. And then I had a breath work guy come on talking about, tapping into your breath and making room, and tuning into your body and creating that space within your heart. And a woman who wrote a book called Still Life has just come on, all on meditation and mindfulness. And here you are, a 7, maybe you're 8-figure now. Yeah. Female entrepreneur, talking about, look, this is how I found the success. And I'm running a vaginal suppository company and now launching 10 other products, when this was not even remotely a life dream or even on your radar. This was not something you were intending to do.
The blue. Yeah, absolutely. So I am example that once I tapped into that, the world has opened up for me in ways that I never could have dreamt of. And again, don't limit yourself with your own thoughts and dreams, because if you just open it up and let it be guided, there's no telling what can happen. I mean, I'm the perfect example of that. So, but again, it's being still, and, I was spoken to when I was running too. So, but it was alone time. And, so just allowing yourself the opportunities to have those encounters with the knowing is really, really important for anyone.
And trusting it, and actually trusting it. Because do you find that the more you've trusted it and listened to it, the better the relationship's gotten, in the sense that you're hearing it now and acting. And so maybe the voice has always been as consistent, but now you're hearing it more. What are your thoughts on that?
What's interesting is that what I have found too, when I was talking about that, the inner knowing versus the inner voice. So the self-doubt and self-limiting thoughts that I used to have are, I wouldn't say non-existent. It does pop in every now and then, but feel like I've conquered that. It is so, I feel like I've grown up mentally because of the knowing that I have has overridden most of the self-doubt and self-limiting thoughts. So, but that's all because of the work that I've done in the stillness to allow that to happen. So, and allowing myself to be quiet, the thoughts that are in my head are positive thoughts and good thoughts. And most of the time we're not self-limiting. We're all human, it happens. But it's spiritual growth, if you will. In that the more I've learned to trust the knowing, the more calm I am, the more at peace I am, there are things that have happened to me that should have sent me into the crazy loony bin. But it's because I'm grounded in my spirituality that I feel peace about anything that occurs in my life, even if it's very difficult. So, but yeah, it is. Again, that's why I say I wouldn't go back in age because of where I am right now in my life, and the acceptance and peace and everything I have about my career. And you know what? Like I think I told you this before too, that what's the worst possible thing that could happen to me right now? I lose the company, and so what? I get another job. It's kind of like, you have to put things in perspective. Like, what if I fail? Well, so what? What if you fail? There's other options out there. It's not like, your life ends. So I feel like I don't know, sometimes we operate in a state of fear when we need to have a greater sense of peace that, look at the alternative, what are options for you if something goes south? It's all going to be okay. So, but yeah, and I feel like you've experienced that journey too in your spiritual maturity as well.
Yes. And like I said, and I'm still guilty of wanting to go outside of myself. And part of that is a sense of, maybe it's a sense of, self-worth or self-confidence, to trust myself enough to know and feel strong enough in my voice to go against what might not seem logical.
Yes.
Or whatever the case may be, or just
step out on faith.
Step out on faith versus, instead of fear. And do you ask for signs when you're tapping in? Let's say or do you just sit and wait to know, or what does the process look like for you specifically?
I will specifically pray, if this is your will,
show me.
Open the doors to allow it to occur.
Yeah.
And if it's not, close the doors accordingly. So, there's many things that I'm praying for right now, because it's a lot of unresolved issues and hasn't happened yet. But what is it? The prayers are answered either no, not now. And the not now, it's because you need to grow more spiritually, or yes, or, later. So there's always a reason that I feel like a prayer is not answered. And, but it's oftentimes in that waiting period where the greatest growth occurs, and where, even though it's painful for us, that's where maybe we're being pruned. And pruning hurts a lot of times. But in order to grow, we have to be pruned. So I told you before the call that, I recently lost my dog, and I'm expecting to lose my other dog here soon. And it's going to be very lonely for me because my kids are at college, but I'm preparing myself like, okay, well, God, I guess you're going to use this time to really help me grow. So, but again, I shouldn't be fearful of what hasn't occurred yet. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's times in our life when we are made to suffer, but it only makes us stronger. So it's kind of my philosophy.
It's beautiful. And I think, a lot of takeaways, and to have that grace and that trust. And even today, as I was driving home, I could feel an energetic shift. Even, it was like, this isn't yours to hold, turn it over. This isn't yours to carry, turn it over, and I think, the more you can feel comfortable in sitting with the stillness and making meditation, prayer, whatever feels right to you, journaling,
yes,
the answers are there and the support is there, even when it doesn't feel like it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I also, one thing I've discovered too, is the importance of having like-minded individuals in your life, where you can talk about this, and because we're all going through so much, each person, every single day. But to have like-minded individuals to be able to share your journey and your struggles and everything else is really, really key for me too.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I think having that sense of community or seeking out it if you don't, just pay attention. Who do you feel good around? Who don't you feel good around? And just bring more of that the good energy in. Deeannah, where can people learn more about you, your products? I always love connecting with you. It's so great.
Tame. Our website is phdfemininehealth.com and PhD Feminine Health on Instagram, Facebook. I'm pretty sure Twitter's the same, but and then on LinkedIn, it's Deeannah Seymour and also PhD Feminine Health on LinkedIn as well. So, and the product's available at pretty much every pharmacy, grocery store, Walmart, Target, all of that too. So
yeah, no, it's nice to have a natural option to these issues. And thank you for, I always find you so interesting because like you said, this isn't something you set out to do. And I do think that your growth and success is in large part attributable to your faith and learning how to move through fear. So it's lovely that you've been able to come share again, some of these things that you're doing, and so that people can just sit with it too and see what they need more of in their lives and maybe where they can invite in more stillness, which again, it's funny that this is the same theme that's running through. I guess maybe that's my message. Maybe, okay, I hear you. I need to sit more. I'm going to go sit in meditation after this. But thank you, Deeannah. It's so great to be with you again. I love talking to you, and let's set up that wine and hang out sometime virtually for now.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. I hope you gained some new information or inspiration for your life. That the essence of this show is to really wake up to what's possible for you, to reclaim your beautiful voice, and to really learn to love and prioritize yourself. So if you gained any value from any of the conversations you've tuned into, make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast player. You can do that right now on your phone. And please do consider leaving a rating and review if you have yet to do so on Apple Podcasts. It's actually how more women can find the show. And I really want to grow a community of women who are loving themselves and living full on. So thank you as always for tuning in. And I look forward to reconnecting with you next Wednesday. Bye for now.